You have a dead mulberry back there. Hi.
Hi. It's doing.
Figuring out where to plant some trees because I know you like to dig holes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so I am in the process of building a workbench for the shop here. I'm building a pretty good size workbench. It's kind of a mess because as I've shown you before, the shop is still a mess. But I have decided I've got to build a workbench so that I can work, because I'm gonna have to build a whole bunch of shelving, build a whole bunch of other benches and the whole ball of wax. So I need a good workbench to work off of. This workbench is going to have rollers so that I can roll it wherever I need it in the shop. And as you can see, it's pretty big. I know you probably can't tell by the camera how big it is, but it's almost 8 feet long and I don't know, 4.5 feet wide. So it's plenty big. I wanted a big one so that I could work with large stuff in here. So I'm going to show you as we go along the way. What I've done so far is I've put 2x6s together. As you can see, I've got 7 2x6s side by side. I got them all flattened out. Of course, as y'all have heard me argue thousands of times before, we get the crappiest wood here in our part of the country for some reason. I guess they sell us all seconds, thirds, and tenths. So anyway, they're all twisted and bent and curved, and it's pathetic. So I had to go into town and buy a whole bunch of clamps yesterday in order to clamp them together and straighten them up as best I can. So having them clamped together now, I went ahead and put the underside boards that'll be supporting it and helping it to stay good and straight. I've still got some boards on these ends. As you can see here, we've still got some raised boards. They're not perfectly straight across there, and they're raised up because they're twisted, and it's even worse on this end where they're twisted. So what I'm going to do now to get those twists out of it as best I can is I'm going to raise this up, the entire thing on this end. I'm going to put this board here. I've measured that board to go between the two legs, which these are the legs. I'm using 4x4s. I'm going to put this board in there as a support for the legs and a support for the table. And so what I'll do is put my clamps on here, snug them up really nice and tight, and then I'm going to have to put lots of pressure on each of these boards that are twisted. And then I'm going to screw them in, and hopefully that'll do the job. I'll let you know. So I decided I'd better get this thing up on some horses, and so I had to go outside and take away my outside table and use it for this. So now it'll make it a lot easier to work. So when you're working with this, if you decide to build this thing, you're gonna, I mean, it really is a very nice table. I can hardly wait to finish it up. But when you're working with this, be sure and try to make it as easy as you possibly can, because it is a lot of work. It's very, very heavy. These 7 2x6s weigh plenty, and then we're going to put a whole lot of support around it because I want it to be extremely firm. We're also going to put casters on the bottom, so on the wheels, locking casters on 2 of them, so that I can move it to where I need to work with it and then move it back. So hopefully we'll get this shop all cleaned up, straightened up, and then it'll actually work. Clamps can really be your friend when you're doing this. When you need that third or fourth hand and you don't have it, clamps. don't need this big a rubber hammer, rubber mallet, but it doesn't hurt to have a big one. Especially when you gotta urge some of these boards down. So I've got it all turned over. I'll show you what we did here. We turned it over, but I've got all these because I wanted that level and flat. So anyway, it looks kind of weird, but hey, that's the way you got to do it. That's the way you got to do it. Now I've got to pull those boards in with screws, and that should maintain level. I've got this one board here. Just not wanting to match up, but I'll pull it in. See if I can get it all pulled in good. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna mark my line here so I can have a straight line with my screws. So the first thing I'm gonna do is mark where the middle of my board is under there, and see if I can get that right. That's about right there. Alright, I think that's right on the money. I guess I can actually measure that and make sure. The underboard is exactly 7/8 of an inch. So I can just mark it that way, 7/8 of an inch, and you've got 1.5 inches length on your, width on your 2x4. So I've got 3/4 there, so 7/8 and 3/4 is 1, and yeah, you know what I mean. All right, let's see if we can put a few screws on here. Pull that up. And it doesn't start too good there. So that's all right. I need my gloves on. I think that did good. Unfortunately, I can't put them all in right now because these clamps are right in the way, but I'll get enough of them in to hold that board under there. The thing I want to look at now is to see if those are pulling up tight, and they are. So it's pulled up pretty snug. With that, I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy. Yes, I am. Okay, so now I'm on the other end, and I am getting it ready to screw in the support board from the bottom. And once I get that support board in, we'll start putting the ends on and start making it look pretty. How's that? All right, I've got all my boards are lined up. Don't like the way it's leaning under there, but hey, I guess my clamps are kind of forcing it. I don't know. Yeah, probably because I'm on the outside of the. I can move that. I'm gonna move that. I've got my clamps on the outside, and it's kind of pulling that board toward me, and I don't want it pulled toward me. Getting blisters on my dainty little hands, so I gotta put my gloves on. Oh, you know, one other thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna Put my cross brace on here going this way. Clamp those together to hold them in. I didn't do it on the other end, and I should have done it on the other end, but I'm gonna do it on this end. And then that way we'll have everything nice and tight. How do you like my great big old clamps? These babies are huge. I like them. Did those yesterday. I finally went and got some pipes. I've owned these little things here from Harbor Freight for probably 10 years. I don't know, maybe longer. And just never got a chance to go get any pipes, because every time I'd look for pipe, good grief, it was so expensive. And I thought, why? So anyway, I decided I've got to have some clamps. I really needed these to clamp everything. And you can hear how that's squeaking because it wasn't really tight. Now it's really nice and tight. And really nice and smooth. That's how we like it. So now we can put our screws in. Okay, so here we go with our screws. Looky here. Here comes Sherry with a drink.
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea, but mine's calmed
Watered
down. That is good. It's hot in this barn. I'm gonna have to get something to get some
Hotter
airflow.
outside. There's no breeze in the Texas Panhandle in Amarillo, Texas right now.
Which is amazing in itself. Okay, so now we're gonna dress it up just a little bit. I'm putting the 45 angles on the corners to make it look a lot nicer. And basically that's really all it's for. I may strengthen it just a little bit, stabilize it a little more. But for the most part, it's just to make it look pretty. So anyway, here we go. Let's get some more on here. What do you say? Not a moron. No, not moron. No. Let's get some more on. Let's get started. It's pretty good there. Not bad there. Okay. So somehow I've got to be able to hold it up there. I don't know if my clamps. I guess I can set them where it might hold it. Yeah, I can set them inside there. That'll work. A little bit more. Just a smidgen. There we go. Oh, I can't get it up there. Yeah, maybe I will. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I have to try to hold it and screw it at the same time. This is not always easy to do. But I think I got it. That's loose. That's fine. I'll leave it loose till I go get the other end. Then we can put some screws in it. Okay, we're having to kind of plump it up. Our lumber is somewhat crooked. Unfortunately, not like Oklahoma or New Hampshire, where Lumna lives, we don't get great wood. We get their thirds or fourths or their leftovers or whatever. But anyway, it's gonna look all right. This was so crooked and bowed out that I had to put some screws in it to pull it up straight. So it'll be all right. It'll look fine once we get it all done. So I can see already down there at that end, I've got that end way too high on that side. So I'm gonna have to go straighten that up. Well, I finally finished my work table. There it is. It is, and it's all, well, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, tried to get everything looking really good. There's some flaws, of course, because I did build it, and I am not a perfectionist builder, but look at that right there. That is embarrassing. But you know what? I don't even care. I've taken screws out and tried to re-screw them and lift things up, boards, because most of the boards are so crooked. And see, this is level here. This is a little high. That needs to go down, but that was way high a while ago, and I finally got it down. So I just finally said, you know what? It's good enough. It's a work table. I'm going to be working on it, and it doesn't have to be fancy. So went in and braced it underneath on the legs. We've got 5-inch screws in from the top going down, and then 5-inch screws coming in, and 2.5-inch screws pretty much everywhere else where the boards are just against boards. But I wanted those legs to be very stable. I put 5-inch screws in the casters to make sure that they stayed. I didn't want them wobbling loose. So anyway, considering all the crooked boards I had, all the twisted boards, it looks okay. It looks good enough for me. I can work on it. So we finally got finished, and I just want to say a thank you to all of you guys who are watching. If you would share this video, it's really a simple build. If you'd like to build one yourself, I know I didn't go through total detail, but you can kind of tell by just the pictures of it how simple it really is. It's not rocket science. If I can do it, almost anybody can do it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you don't mind, share this video. Be sure and like it. And if you don't mind, ring the bell. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So hopefully we'll have more good things like this coming up. And again, they're not going to be perfect, and that's okay, because we don't care. They work and they're functional, and that's all we care about. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves, and God bless.